Thank you, everyone. Please have a seat. And take a moment now to please switch off your phones. So, last athletic assembly, the winter one in March, I tried to convince you that losing was an integral part of sports, even more important than winning. I don't know if it worked. I don't know if I convinced you, but a few weeks ago I read something. I read something that warmed my soul, that assured me that I wasn't the only person out there who thinks that the true value of sport has very little to do with winning. So check out this story. This past January 5th, Team Canada beat Team Sweden 3-1 at the World Junior Hockey Championships. In fact, Mr. Ryu and the Prep Boys hockey team were actually at that game and watched it live. During the medal ceremony after the game, 5 Swedish players and 3 Swedish coaches were so frustrated at having lost that they removed their silver medals. One player even threw his silver medal over the glass and into the crowd. The International Ice Hockey Federation, the IIHF, is the worldwide governing body for international ice hockey. 76 countries are a part of it. There's no bigger hockey organization on the planet. This is what the IIHF said about the incident, and I quote, "The lack of self-control shown by the players indicates that they have developed ambitions where only first place counts, which is absolutely in contradiction to the ideas and values of sport. The actions of the players are not compatible with the idea of sport as a fair competition between the teams involved in order to determine the best team of the tournament. The actions in question cannot be excused by disappointment or even frustration not to have won the championship. Losing a game is part of any competition and does not excuse any unfair or unsportsmanlike behavior." Strong words. But anybody can talk. What really impressed me was what they did next. Ranging in length from 2 to 4 games, the IIHF actually suspended the 5 players and the 3 coaches for next year's World Championships in 2019. So that shocks me. I've never heard of an organization this big that believes in sportsmanship so much that it actually informs their disciplinary decision-making. Winning is not why you play sports. Winning isn't what made you pick up your first tennis racket or your first softball glove or golf club or badminton racket or lacrosse stick. Winning is not what made you run so fast for 400 meters that you started to vomit, and it isn't what made you throw yourself face first into a tackle. You started those sports and did those things for a whole bunch of different reasons. Teammates, competition, fun, reaching your potential, getting out of your comfort zone, exercise, camaraderie, impressing your coaches, impressing yourself, making memories. The list goes on. And if you never won a single thing, it wouldn't change any of those reasons that make up the true value of sports. I believe that. The IIHF believes that. I hope you start to believe it too. Before we start hearing from your coaches, I have some heartfelt thank yous to make, not just for this past term, but for the entire school year. Mrs. Perot and Miss Muller in the health center, your physiotherapists, Miss Boudreau and Miss Laney, all the people in maintenance, in the kitchen, the laundry staff, our drivers, Mr. Murray for providing all those great photos of you guys that go up on the Spartan Pride board, Mrs. Wolf, whose behind-the-scenes work helps make everything go smoothly. Of course, Miss Alta Sheldon, who runs the tightest department in the school and who just finished her, wait for it, her 42nd year at Stanstead College. And you're definitely coming back next year to make it 43, Miss Alta, I'm assuming. And last but certainly not least, your coaches whose dedication and commitment to your team and to you is second to none. All these people have been there for you from September until now. And I'd ask that you show your appreciation to all of them with a serious round of applause. Now, before I introduce our first speaker of the evening, let's get to what you've all really been waiting for. The winner of the year-long All-Campus League. Now, if you recall, after a ridiculously dominant all-campus week back in April, the defending champs from last year, South, had built themselves a huge lead. Last Friday's all-campus day was the last chance to catch them. Somebody, east, west, even north, would have to stage a monster comeback to tear the crown from South's greedy little fingers. With 54 points earned on last Friday's all-campus day, giving them a total of 113 points for the year, this year's all-campus champions, they just couldn't be caught. South it is. So, congratulations to South. 2 years in a row is impressive. And let me tell you, just so you know, you couldn't have done it without your amazing bantams. Okay, so Gustavo, Tere, Matthew LG, Sage, Simone Ruff, and Ella Udo, they were the real difference. As Matt LG said to me on all-campus day, you know, sir, South is a big, mean, green machine that only takes winning coins. Whatever that means. Looks like he was right. Will the captains of South please come forward, take a photo with one of the neatest trophies in the school, the Scowen Trophy. Come on up. Captains of South. Now, on to our first speaker of the night, the Commissioner of Softball, Ms. Kirby.
Softball has always been a sport that I enjoy playing, coaching, and watching others play. Intramural softball is an excellent opportunity for students to be active, have fun, and learn the game. This year, we had 59 players over 4 teams, the Expos, the Royals, the Blue Jays, and the Cardinals. Ms. Benizri and I enjoyed the group we had this year. We had students who had never played before, returning students from last year, and even students who play outside of school. What I enjoyed the most about coaching softball was watching the more experienced players coach the less experienced players. I will always remember the little things, the exhilaration of someone scoring a home run, the frustration when someone struck out again, and the arguing with the calls. I will also remember the funny things, most notably Roy, who received the most original hour for not swinging when up to bat, and Andrew for getting hit with the ball 2 times in the same game. I would like to start with some thank yous. I would like to thank Ms. Benizri and Vanessa for helping me out this season, as well as Alta for taking care of the equipment. I would also like to thank the captains, Oscar, Henry, Karen, Hugo, Daniel, Anthony, Jessica, and Nicholas. Without them, things would not have run as smoothly. A successful season really does rely on the captains motivating their teams. Now for the standings. During the regular season, the teams played 15 games. In fourth place, we had the Cardinals with 1 win and 14 losses. In third place, we have the Royals with 6 wins and 9 losses. Second place, the Expos with 9 wins and 6 losses. And in first place, the Blue Jays with 12 wins and 3 losses. However, the standings changed after the playoffs. The Cardinals won their game in the consolation against the Expos, taking third place. The Blue Jays defended their title in the finals against the Royals. Therefore, I would like the captains of the Blue Jays to come accept the trophy for their team. And now for the awards. This year we'll be giving out 3 awards. The first 2 are for Most Valuable Player. The third award is for Sportsmanship. I would ask all 3 of the recipients to come up together. The recipients of the MVP awards had a positive attitude throughout the entire season. They were a dynamic pair that led their team to victory. Nicholas has a high softball IQ and helped his team improve. Jessica was always lending words of encouragement and got every team member to participate. Their motivation and commitment to their teams were second to none. Congratulations to Jessica and Nicholas Pecora for an excellent season. The third award is for Sportsmanship. The recipient of this award was a pleasure to have on and off the field. Not only are his skills of the game improving, but he is passionate about the game. He was always positive and encouraging to not only his team, but others as well. He has a true understanding of the meaning of intramural sport, even though his team did not do as well. Congratulations to Dominic Pecora. Please come forward, guys. I'd like to thank all 59 of you, and I hope to see some of you next year.
Next up, Junior Girls Rugby, Mr. G.
Setting the tone. Give me 1 second here. Hey, Foch, you see this? He's my advisee. I got to step it up, right? So quick, some rapid fire thank yous to Mr. Van Dyke, to Miss Alta, to the health center team, to Angeliti for those training sessions. The girls hate you, but I love you, man. And to my assistant coach, Leanne Carruthers, who showed up about 2 weeks into the season And when she showed up, the team suddenly got amazingly better. So I'm thinking she should be up here doing the head coach's speech. So thank you, Leanne. You were amazing. All right. So the junior girls had a fairy tale season, a Cinderella story. If you're familiar with that term in sports, and if you're not, well, I'm going to tell you about it anyway. We start where any Cinderella story should start, which is down in the dumps, folks. We were terrible. We were awful. Five practices into the season, and we're still passing and catching a ball, and we're not good at it. And then 5 practices turned into 10 practices. And we still can't hit a moving target, and we still can't catch the ball. And I don't know if you know anything about sports, but if you can't pass and catch, you're going to get killed. Any sport, right? So, one of these fateful evenings, I'm home telling my wife about this, and she says, "Why don't you use a baby?" I'm like, "What?" And she says, "Use a baby." And I'm like, "You have a baby?" And she says, "Yeah, I've got a baby." And I'm like, "Why?" And she says, "We use it to teach in elementary school, in kindergarten, you know, empathy, that kind of stuff." And I'm like, "All right, give me the baby." You guys want to see the baby? Of course you do. Who doesn't want to see a baby? Oh yeah. So the next day at practice number 11, where we're doing our passing drill, I substitute the ball with the baby. And the girls are like, "Well, sir, what do you want us to do with this?" And I'm like, "Pass the baby. You're a bad person if you drop the baby." So they're passing the baby back and forth, and of course one of the girls says, "Hey, does the baby have a name?" So the whole team looks at Mariama. Mariama's shaking her head and rolling her eyes, and she's like, "All right, fine, Shaniqua." So we're passing Shaniqua back and forth, and we're not dropping the baby. This is awesome. And then one of the girls says, "Wait, do we know if Shaniqua's a girl?" So stop the drill, undress the baby, check to see if it's a boy or a girl, and Shaniqua becomes Tyrone. Yeah. So of course, junior girls being junior girls, the baby needs a backstory. So Tyrone's from Haiti. He's an orphan. He's a sex change, transgender baby. And he has a Mexican stepmom, Camilla. Camilla's our team manager. So now we're passing Tyrone back and forth, and then tragedy strikes. We drop the baby. So Simon Ruff, y'all know Simon Ruff? Grade 7, Simon Ruff. Stand up, Simon. Where are you, Simon? Hey! So that's twice I make her stand at assembly in front of everyone. Simon runs out into the middle of the drill and says, wait, stop, I know what to do. And she sticks out 2 fingers from each hand and starts performing CPR on the baby, right? She saves the baby's life. Little Tyrone is safe and sound. He becomes the team mascot. I'm dragging him to every single game that we played this season in my coaching kit. So right about now you're wondering, what does this have anything to do with rugby, right? Yeah, welcome to my world. I can't make any of that up, by the way, it's all true. We start our season at the GMA A7s, we got killed. We lost every game by 40 or 50 points, it was ugly. And we come back and we play in our league. So we roll up our sleeves and we say, let's get to work here, me and Leanne, and we start a plan on how to improve our team. We go to our first tournament, we win 2 games and lose 1 in our league. We go to our second tournament, we win 1, we lose 1. We go to our third tournament, we win 1, we tie 1. And we go to our fourth tournament and we win all 3 games. So we ended up winning 7 out of 10, which put us in 3rd place. So there were two teams that were better than us who won more than 7 games. We're in a semifinal. We beat the second place team, Massey Vanier. So now we're in a final. We're in a championship final, a league championship final, which is really rare. I don't know if you guys can appreciate this. For Bantam and junior girls, I know, I coach junior girls soccer. It's really rare to be in this position. And here we are facing the number 1 team in our league, Richmond, and they have a stud. They have a superstar player, number 5 on their team, who's played rugby before. So Leanne and I developed a strategy. We put a penny on one of our players, and we double team her with Ella and Lorelei, the 2 best tacklers on our team. Lorelei making her dad proud. So we double team her, and we say basically whenever this girl touches the ball, smack. She's got to feel you. You can't give her any space at all because she's got a step on her that if she gets going, she can't be caught. So sure enough, it worked. In the final, she was so frustrated at one point that she actually screamed, got mad, and threw the ball onto the ground. The girls remember this. So we scored first. They came back and scored 2. It's 10-5. And then in the second half, late in the second half, we end up scoring. It's 10-10. And Julia Ballinger steps up, and she has, and this is poetic, this is perfect, she has the exact same kick right in front of the sticks, right in front, that she had against the very same team 3 weeks earlier and missed. And now she has that kick for the win, and she makes it, and we win 12-10, the championship. So, as any good English teacher will tell you, Tyrone is a metaphor for our season. We needed CPR after the GMA A7s, where we got killed. So did Tyrone, and then we resuscitated our season, revived our season, and we ended up champions. So it's a Cinderella story, and it's beautiful, and I'm really proud of you girls. Congratulations. I was going to sit Tyrone in the cup and say, hey, look, Tyrone has a throne now to sit in. But we'll take a picture or something with Mr. Murray after. It would be great. The awards now, we're giving out 4 awards, 3 junior S's and 1 sportsmanship award. So all of you come up together. The 3 junior S's are first Tere and Mariama for creating basically all of our offense throughout the season, or most of the offense throughout the season. And another junior S goes to Sam Smith for coordinating our defense and acting on our plan to have a really fast and aggressive and turn over the ball type of defense. So Sam Smith, you 3. And the last award is the Sportsmanship Award, which goes to Ella, because I was really hard on Ella this season. There were tears, I'm not gonna lie. And we really wanted her to improve, and she ended up being a force to be reckoned with on the rugby field. So congratulations, girls, come on up. Who's the weekend? Mariana? Taking Tyrone there. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Junior boys rugby, Dr. Standage.
Thanks, I got to follow that. It's not fair, we didn't have a baby. Actually, I'm not sure a baby would have helped. It might have helped our kicking, but passing not so much. Same thank yous as all the others, so I'll just list them off like Mr. Grenier did. Alta, Mr. Wells for all his help and advice during the season. Mr. Van Dyke and all the people behind him, health, drivers, food people, thank you to all of those guys. Harry, of course, nearly forgot Harry for all his help and filling in as a junior boy when we needed the numbers. And finally, last but not least, our manager, who you might know as Mr. Kevin Who, but we know as Where's Kevin? Nobody can make a cloudy day in Quebec look like a Hawaiian beach like Kevin can. Nobody relaxes like Kevin does. So thank you to all those guys. As you know, it's a good time to be alive. Hockey season's nearly done. Basketball's nearly done. And next week, the World Cup of Soccer starts. I don't mean the Stanstead College one, I mean the real one. So, as you might know, to win the World Cup of Soccer, a team has to play 7 games and win the last 4. If you look at the records, very few teams have won all 7. And it's about a 5-week tournament, 7 games, much like a junior boys rugby season. There are reasons for that. Some are tournament strategy, why risk your best players when you don't need to. But it's also hard. Teams would do it if they could. And if you look in history, it's not been done very often, because winning every single game is tough. I know the senior boys made it look easy, but we've never quite done it. We did 14 out of 15 a few years ago, some of you might remember that, and lost the last one. But most of those guys we were playing with Bantam, so it wasn't a tough season. Now we have an ETIAC League to play and a playoff, and teams have gotten good, much better than they used to be. This junior boys team was pumped and ready to go really early on. Before March break, they were talking about rugby, and their stated ambition, Mr. Van Dijk probably won't like this, but they wanted to win every single game. And they were obviously prepared to do what it takes to do that, within the rules, I hope. They also had something other teams hadn't got, and that was experience. This year we had 7 players with experience of rugby at Stanstead College and a couple of other players who played somewhere else. And that made a difference. Many of the coaches will remember them scrimmaging. We were scrimmaging with less than a week, full-on scrimmaging. Rugby, tackles, rucks, scrums, the whole shebang. And we still had another week of practice before we got to the first jamboree. So when we got to that jamboree, they guys were ready to go. And they rolled over our 3 opponents in no time at all by big scores. And they did the same the following week. And within 8 days, we'd already tied up the league banner. And then we went off to the GMAs in Montreal. Typically, we'd not had a lot of success there ever. And this time we went in and we rolled over the first 4, or the 4 teams in our group, and that includes CVR. Typically against CVR, we end up with more injuries than points, but this time we rolled them over again. We got to the final, which was pretty heady, to say the least. But unfortunately, we ran into a pretty good team. We ran out of gas, and we lost our scrum half. So we didn't fare too well there, and our unbeaten season died at that point. But ETIAC we still had going for us. Then the real killer of the season comes along. Every year, it's May break. May break is a real momentum killer. And we always come back, and we always seem to have a game on that first Wednesday back. And we traveled up to Galt, and we scraped our way past a pretty mediocre Galt team, and then we had to play Massey-Vanier. And it was pretty ugly. We were down at half-time. We threw all our 7 starters on, thinking we'd get it back quite easily. And we saw a meltdown. We saw balls being thrown forward, stupid fouls, people losing their heads and having to get taken off. It was not a pretty sight. But as Mr. Van Dijk says, losing is where the lessons are. And for a coach, it was the perfect time. It was a game that didn't count for anything. The banner was already sewn up, and the playoffs were the following week. And so, fortunately, we learned our lesson. We took out our lesson from that one. We can't assume that we're going to win just because we've won everything else so far. We've got to work hard, we've got to put in the effort, and we've got to execute. And the following week in the playoffs at Stanstead, many of you will have seen us pummel a BCS team again, and then we get our revenge against Massey-Vanier for the playoff trophy as well. The records, the history books will show us with a 13 from 15 season, so 113 lost 2, a banner, and a repeat playoff. The coaches, and I hope you guys will remember too, was the determination, the execution, the passion, the ambition, and sheer love of the game. And that's what we're going to remember. So congratulations on your season, guys. You've done a lot to be proud of. Mr. Wells, we're proud of your achievements, but also proud of the way you did it. Congratulations, well done. Okay, before I get to the 4 awards that we're doing, just a couple of honourable mentions. We had a couple of quite nasty injuries this year. As I said, we lost the final in the GMA in Montreal, not least because we lost our scrum half in the game before. It was a game that we needed to win as it happened, and the winning try was scored by Jaden. Ball screws off into the end zone, he dives in it, a couple of people are diving into it, and he ends up with a broken collarbone. So if Jaden had got through the season, I'm sure he would have been in the conversation for an award. So well done, Jaden, and I hope you get better soon. And of course, Marcelo, the smallest guy on the field, playing with guys 3 times his size, like Cole and Holy. No fear whatsoever, not afraid to tackle anybody any more than anybody else was. Unfortunately, probably too brave for his own good. And as we know, broken collarbones, like buses, they come in pairs. He also had the same injury, and we wish him well and hope he gets better soon. I hope he can play again when he's back in Mexico. So, good luck to you guys. I'll start with the sportsmanship and then do the junior S's. Again, like Mr. G, I've got 4 awards. And again, you can all come up at once. Sportsmanship is always a difficult one for me. It's not always obvious what the criteria are. They're very fluid and open. And I asked Mr. Wells, I said, what do you think about sportsmanship? And he gave me a name like that. And I thought, of course. And this guy he chose, and I agree with, is not somebody who got a lot of playing time, not a lot of minutes. And when he was on the field, he didn't see a lot of the ball. But he clearly enjoyed the game. He embraced the whole experience of being part of a team and being part of a rugby side. And when he went on there, he had fun. He came off. The first time he came off, he said, I love it. It's great. I'm hoping he'll carry on playing because I'm sure he's going to get better. I'm sure he's going to get fitter. And when he does, he'll be a formidable player. So the sportsmanship award we chose was Gustavo. A couple of the junior S's might seem like no-brainers. The first one, probably the biggest guy on the field, looks like he could score at will. Dominant player. I think any sport he plays, if he chooses to be, he can be dominant. Next year at senior, I think he's going to be dominant there, and that's where he should go, even though he's obviously showing some reticence, because I believe he says at least he's young enough to play junior next year. We'd love to keep him, but we can't. He's going senior. A rookie, never played rugby before, but sheer athleticism took him through the year. So the first junior S goes to Cole Huckins. The next one is a no-brainer, but in a lot less showy sort of way. I mean, everybody was watching the game, noticed Cole. Coaches at GMMA noticed Cole, they mention him. But the next guy gets on with things and leads by example. Communicates always, whether it's drills or scrimmages or the actual game itself, he's always in there doing his best, doing the right thing. Very effective, good passer of the ball, good catcher of the ball, excellent tackler and ruck player. So the second junior S goes to Alexi. Third one, another consummate athlete, probably got the best hand-eye coordination I've seen for quite some time. The ball can come at him from any angle at any speed, and there may be juggling, but it's rarely dropped. He's an excellent hand-eye coordination, excellent catch of the ball. Not the fastest player, but he has this sort of gazelle-like dodge and dart, which means that once he's through, even if he's caught, he's still scoring. Another of the captains, the third junior S goes to Ryan Young. Well done. Okay, do you want to come up?
Elkie. The next program is the first program of the evening that can give out Major S awards. So as a reminder, if an athlete wins a Major S, that athlete is honored with a standing ovation from everybody here. Next up, speaking for the track team, Mr. McDonald.
Thank you, Mr. Van Dyke. As some of you may or may not know, track has a very long history here at Stanstead College. Began back in the 19th century. So what I thought I would do is recount each decade of track beginning in the 19th century for all of you, year by year, so that you can get a sense of this history. So please sit back, relax. You're about to get a history lesson on track at Stanstead College. No, I actually thought that would be a good idea from my track team, and they suggested to me, Mr. McDonald, you said all year, track is about speed. Apply that to your speech. Speed. So we will try to make our remarks curt and to the point. Track does have a long history here. It's been in Stanstead for a long time. It's been on the shelf for 23 years. And it came back into existence this year with support of Alta and Mr. Van Dyke and Mrs. Wolf, who helped us get this going. I want to thank, first of all, my assistant coaches, Mr. Ross, Miss Natasha. Mr. Ross brings a wealth of knowledge. I learn from him every day on ideas for training. And Miss Natasha, of course, got people unafraid of hurdles. They don't actually bite you. You can actually go over them. If they come back, they don't hurt because we got plastic ones. So thank you, too, for bringing the program into existence. We have two major meets. We had a major meet in the middle of May. We had a major meet at the end of May. And we had some fine performances in those two meets. We had first place finishes, second place finishes, third place finishes. And we have an athlete who I will name later who was always very good at just not getting on the podium. Finished fourth, finished seventh, the top three place, the top six place, but he still worked hard. So I congratulate the runners at that first meet. We had Julia McLennan, Marianne Picard, James Chadwick, all placed very well in that first meet in the middle of May. At the end of May, we had another meet that involved 18 teams, and we had our runners show up for that. We have 23 runners on the team, and in that event of 18 teams, our girls' team finished fourth. And that's with one of our best runners being hurt. So I'm very optimistic that the team will continue to grow. We hope that maybe in the coming years we'll be able to put together some field events. But I'm very proud of the runners. It's not easy to run every day at the end of a long day. As I emphasize to them, discipline is doing what has to be done even when you don't feel like it. And for many of them, they did that. So I congratulate all 23 runners for setting individual goals and meeting them. We have, okay, give me a round of applause. So I have 4 Senior S awards to give. Thank you. And again, track is a relatively simple concept. You have to run fast. And these 4 runners worked hard every day, showed up to practice, first ones to leave, sold out on the track even when we had intervals. Even when they didn't feel like running. So would you 4 please come up? And our sportsmanship award, I'll also mention that now as well. This goes to an athlete who, even though she was hurt, even though she could have said, well, I'm not going to go to the last meet, she still came to the meet and cheered on her team. She also happens to have most of the first place finishes for us. So let me start with that, and then I'll work backwards. So our sportsmanship award is going to go to Marianne Picard. And our 4 Senior S awards go to, please come up when I finish your names, Marianne Picard. She gets a Senior S because she competed and won at the senior level. Julia McLennan. Mackenzie Diaz-Leclerc. He's the guy that always just missed the podium. And Mohammed Berry. Please come up, guys.
Speaking for the badminton team, Mr. Varro.
Okay, good evening. There's a lot of teams to get through, so I'm going to keep this speech shorter than I am. First, I'd like to thank Alta. The drivers and food services for all the help to our tournaments, and Alta for always having the gear and the nets ready in the gym. It's hard to have a season with only 2 tournaments in the first 2 weeks, and then nothing but practice after that for the next 6 weeks. I mean, we're talking about practice. Practice, man. Practice. No tournaments, no finals, or anything to look forward to till the end of the year, just practice. And it was with me. Thank God Miss Peruz was there to keep it fun, otherwise it would have been a lot more laps around the gym. Miss Peruz and I were worried at the start of the season about keeping kids motivated and positive throughout practice. I mean, I don't have enough gold change to bribe Bill with. I don't teach Matt Campbell, so I couldn't influence them with an extra mark on the report card. But thankfully, the kids that we had were great. You really were. Miss Peruz and I loved having you guys. It was an awesome year. So the kids were great. They were always happy and motivated. They came there to play, have fun, and they did that every single practice. Most specifically, some of the girls, Saku, Katya, Selena, Karen, would always do a little dance and go, "Eee!" when they scored a point. In fact, they did it at such a high octave. Every time they got a point, I'm surprised they didn't break the glass windows in the gym. I don't know how you guys out on the field didn't hear it. I know my dog Isla did. Every time I came home, she had her head buried in the pillows, looking up at me like, "Is it over yet?" And I'm sad to say, last week I said it was. The season is over. The year's almost over. You guys have nothing but exams left. So thank you and good luck. So we have 2 junior S's to hand out. First is to a student that I teach, and it took until he got on the badminton court at the end of this year that I finally saw him smile. I hope that doesn't speak to my teaching, but not only was he our strongest junior boy, he was also one of the strongest members of the team, often gave Bill and PY a run for their money when he played them. He made it to the quarterfinals in our big Galt tournament, which is a great accomplishment. I hope he continues to work hard and improve, and we'll see him next year. Congratulations, Michael Wu. Next junior S we have is for a girl who played doubles in both of the tournaments that we attended. She came second at the finals at Galt. I would have loved to see what she could have done playing in singles if we had more time and more tournaments. But when Bill Huang comes and sits beside us at every practice, looks at us and says, "Whoa, she's good. She's really good." I think it's a pretty easy choice, so we're going to give it to Shushu. So you guys can come up, please. Next, we have the Senior S's and the Sportsmanship Award. So for sportsmanship, I've already mentioned her name. She was always very happy, very excited. Win or lose, she just enjoyed being there and playing badminton. She cheered, danced, and always had fun. Even though her enthusiasm might have deafened us a little bit, she was a joy to have at practice, so the Sportsmanship Award goes to Saku. Our senior S's. She was the strongest girl on the team. She made it to the semifinals at our Galt tournament. She should have won, but she went down with an ankle injury. We paused the game to give her a minute to rest and ice it. After contemplating even forfeiting that match, she got up, and we were proud to see her finish the game fighting through the pain. The injury definitely slowed her down. She lost the lead that she had and ended up losing the match, but I know in my heart she should have won that game and could have won the gold. So the closest thing we can give you to gold is your senioress, Coco. Congratulations. And now, without a doubt, this guy's a great badminton player, even if he struggled a bit at the tournaments we went to. He didn't do quite as well as he wanted to, and I know that not from his body language, but because after a loss, he would come and sit beside me and say, "Did you see? Ugh, he's not even good. I should have beat him. I'll beat him next time. I'm just not good today." Well, he definitely put in the effort and practice to get better. He'd often try and come to both practice times to fill spots with someone who wasn't there. Often we'd have to kick him out of practice, tell him to leave if there wasn't enough room. So, for your effort, your motivation, your skill, and your punctuality, we want to give a senioress to Bill Huang. You guys can come up. Now we do have one major S to hand out. It was quite a simple choice. When everyone, including the coaches, are afraid to play against him, even when we made him play with his left hand, he still won matches. He won bronze at the Galt tournament, and like Bill, he also tried to practice as much as possible. He helped design t-shirts, ordered the team shirts, so we'd like to give the major S to a great player and a leader, P.Y. Chung.
Up next, speaking for the golf team, one of the most passionate golfers I know, Mrs. Smith.
Good evening, everyone. Firstly, I'd like to offer my congratulations to all the other teams on very successful seasons. I've got to say that when Mr. Van Dyke got up at Assembly a few weeks ago and spoke about the successes of the senior rugby teams at their finals, and then the junior rugby teams at their finals, and then the track team, and then the tennis team, and then the lacrosse team was going on to their finals, I felt a little twinge of disappointment in how my team had fared this year. And then I thought about all the positives that happened over the course of the year, and how each and every player on the team improved in at least one aspect of their game. I thought about when Alex Campbell made his first par, and on the same day Andrew Moose made his first birdie, and then at our first tournament, Charles broke 100 for the first time ever. And then I smiled, and my disappointment was gone. So while winning is nice, sometimes the little things in life are a little more important. As you can imagine, being a member of the golf team is a lot different than being on a hockey team or a soccer team or a rugby team. Because yes, when you go to a team, to a competition, you're part of a team and you're representing your school, but there's a lot of other factors to think about. You're competing against the course, you're competing against the wind and the weather, and the little voice in your head that tells you that the putt's gonna go straight, and then it doesn't. You can shank your first drive on the first tee, as the coach of BCS did at our last tournament. You can miss an easy tap-in putt for par, and that can put a damper on your game right from the get-go. And at that point, there's no one to sub in for you. So you can go sit on the bench and regroup and get your thoughts together. It's you against the course, and you have to be tough enough mentally to get over it, to get it out of your head, and to move on with your round. The other part of being on the golf team that's different are the friendships and the camaraderie and the competitions, the little competitions that develop between the players from the other schools. Yes, we still want to beat BCS, but the nature of the sport is such that within your foursome, you celebrate everyone's good shots and you commiserate with their lousy ones, because everyone's had shots like that. I'm proud of every single one of you and sincerely hope that you've enjoyed your season. You played well, you all worked to improve your game, you all learned something. Some learned humility. Some of you learned that frustration and anger do not belong on the golf course. Some of you learned life lessons. And some simply learned that it's not a good thing to eat too much when you go to woods. But I think you all learned that while golf is challenging, it's also something that you can play and enjoy for decades to come. At our tournaments, you were good competitors, you all challenged yourselves, and you were a lady and gentleman on the course. You represented your school with class and Spartan spirit, and I hope you have a great season for the rest of the summer. So I am giving out 4 awards tonight, and I would ask that all the award winners come up together. So in a sport like golf, where etiquette and manners are basically compulsory, theoretically every golfer should have their name put forth for the Sportsmanship Award. However, I've chosen to present it to the golfer who is always a gentleman on the course. No matter who he's playing with, hi, how are you, shakes their hand, have a good game today, it doesn't matter. He's just a real gentleman. He's always polite, he's engaging, and he's always positive. Never ever does this young man get angry or stop smiling, and he simply loves the game. He has the best attitude possible, and for these reasons, I'm pleased to present the Sportsmanship Trophy to the man who is known as Q. So he'll come up after. So I also have 3 senior S's to give out. The first 2 go to golfers who were neck and neck all season. From our preseason practice rounds at Quaticook to being 1 stroke off each other, finishing second, third, second. They're always solid competitors. They're talented golfers who truly love the game. And they're always really good Spartans. So congratulations on being the core of the golf team, Philip Martel and Jean-Olivier Roy. And the final senior S goes to a golfer who really has a gift for the game. This player talks golf prior to a competition, studies the course that we're going to play after a round. It's always about how many fairways did I hit, how many greens did I reach, how many putts did I make. This girl can hit the ball a country mile. She's always helpful to her teammates. She's helping someone with their grip, their stance, their backswing, how to get a better cut at the ball. What's the best way to practice your putting? She's always very, very helpful. She's clearly the most gifted golfer on the team, and she was the only female golfer in the league, so she was competing against the boys the whole time. Unfortunately, her season was cut short due to an injury. Nonetheless, she's most deserving of her senior S, Margot Rouquette. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice tonight. So we also have, in addition to the ETIAC competition, we have an internal award, the Alex Phillip Golf Shield, which is named for our former athletic director, Mr. Alex Phillip, who is still an avid and accomplished golfer. It's awarded annually to the golfer who has the lowest overall average for all the rounds of golf that we play over the course of the season. And in short, it's like the MVP award of the team, in that the winner is always someone who is the backbone of the team. This year is no different, and although her season was cut short, no one could touch her scores. The recipient this year of the Alex Phillips Shield is Margot Roquette.
Just a reminder, we do only give standing ovations for major S awards, not to be a killjoy. Le présenteur suivant pour Lacrosse, Monsieur Charret.
Good evening. Posh, you see this? I think I'm better to read it. It's going to be better, yeah. First, I would like to thank everybody who support the building of the lacrosse program in this fourth year of improvement. Miss Jose, Miss Olivia, Miss Jad Sarah, Miss Alta, Mr. Wolf, our drivers, Mike Goodsell among them. Thank you, Mike, for your numerous and beautiful photos. And all our supporters who came to watch our historic first home games, especially the ones who came on the rainy Saturday morning game. If I forget anybody, please excuse me and be sure that your support is highly commendable and appreciated. Thank you, Mr. Van Dyke, of course, for setting up a short but exciting season with an actual league in the ETIAC for the first time, in which we played a total of 6 games, including the semifinal and the final against Alexander Galt and BCS. We beat Galt 3 times, which got us to the final, but we lost against BCS 3 times, unfortunately, in an intense and challenging rivalry, right? In addition to those 6 games, we played 6 non-ETIAC games, 4 games in the opening of the season at the Crestwood tournament in Peterborough, Ontario, against Ontario players who have played lacrosse for many years, and 2 games in the Galt tournament at Bishop's University against Collège Brébeuf, a very skilled and experienced team, and a Longueuil High School team named Gérard Filion. Out of those 6 non-league games, we won 2 and lost 4. Overall, after 12 games in the total season, we won 4, we lost 8, but 2 of them in overtime, so let's say a 4-6-2 overall score. Despite too many losses, our average is improving, and we're building a winning spirit by experiencing difficult games against strong teams. I truly hope that the 13 players we had this year did learn from this season and will come back stronger next year. I want to thank them so much for their courage. It is not easy to compete when you are outnumbered and much less experienced than your opponents. It takes courage, it takes determination, and even if we all know that we're supposed to learn more when we are facing adversity, it is actually not easy to face it when you are in that difficult situation. But it is certainly a crucial reality in sports and in life, like Mr. Van Dyke said, you don't always win. Talking about courage, I want to have a round of applause, please, for one of the most courageous athletes in this room, our field lacrosse goalie, and I tell you, there was no other candidate for that position. Please applaud Ian Bissonnette. Thanks to you guys, Tyler, Joey, Vince, Gage, Martin, Bodie, BJ, Caleb, Paul, Todd, Zach, and Jeremy. Please, a round of applause for them too. I know Gage, Joey, and Paul will not come back. But I hope the rest of you will continue lacrosse, and I hope that we can reach a lineup of about 20 players next year in order to extend and improve our program. Lacrosse is a popular sport in many places, just beside us, by the way, and I sincerely wish that this sport will continue to be encouraged at Stanstead College. For my awards, I will give 1 sportsmanship award, 3 senior S's, and 1 major S. For the senior S and the sportsmanship award, please come up all together to receive your awards and take your photo. He won the sportsmanship award last year, and his sportsmanship is still incredibly impressive. Please applaud Paul the Machine Tang. Because of their passion and commitment, please applaud for a senior S. Tyler, take a shot, Vosinek. Jérémy, the junior, Tremblay, and Martin, le flamboyant, Lefebvre. Paul, Tyler, Jérémy, and Martin, congratulations, and please come up. And for a major S, without any surprise, if you saw him play, one of the best players among all the teams we played, Caleb, go, 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 Goudreau!
Speaking for tennis in his own original style, Mr. Williams.
I feel pretty honored to coach a team. This team is a great team, and I'd like to give heartfelt thanks. I'd also like to thank Mr. Prevost and Wynn and Alta and Mr. Van Dyke for all their hard work. So it's true, we did win the banner for the 3rd year in a row, but I'd like to especially thank our reserve team for having lots of fun and making it show. This amazing tennis team really knocked it out of the park, and they are what inspire me to give me my all, and even to write a poem from day until dark. So here it is, a little short poem. The Greek Olympics in Athens had beautiful courts. We have them too, or something of the sort. We may be a long way from Sparta, a plane ride away, where 300 soldiers kept the Persians at bay. But we had Spartan hearts like a big pizza pie, and unlike 300, our players stayed alive. Our weapon of choice was a lean graphite racket, and that little green ball, we knew how to smack it. over the net, beyond our wildest dream, like 24, like 300, a well-oiled machine that had no damage control and often made life tough for all the opponents, like squishing cream puffs. Our gang served up aces every once in a while, and we toned down the swearing in exchange for a smile. This team loves to compete and did what it takes to put chips in our favor and play for high stakes. Sometimes the Greek language was exchanged for some French as I stood there directing by the aluminum bench. And once in a while, other languages crept in as we ran down to Subway or played tennis volleyball in the gym. But glory and defeat are two sides of a quarter, and in each there's a lesson, some longer, some shorter. We could not take for granted the oppositional threat, no gain without pain and a wee bit of sweat. I'd say we met our team goal, which was to have a good time, wind, rain, or storm, or even sunshine, and also to play the very best we can be and serve Spartan dishes like cold fish by the sea. Peloponnesians would have been proud had they been there as part of the crowd. Their ghosts and their gods would have held their heads high, looking down from above like Zeus in the sky. And I, as their coach, am not one less bit pleased to see tennis at Stanstead take the day and to seize. Every moment, every shot, every time we came out, you have all hearts of champions, of that there's no doubt. And also, no doubt, you are each and all one of a kind, a combination of talent not easy to find. So congratulations, young athletes. Thank you. You have earned a high place in the best of my memories. I feel lucky and graced. Thank you. In the spirit of collaboration, as we like to do on the tennis, we're going to, Mr. Prévost is going to award the S's.
It's going to be hard to follow this. So, just like Mr. Varro, I will try to make my speech shorter than I. First of all, we would like to give a senior S to Valeria Rodriguez, who for the past 2 seasons was a very steady and efficient player who communicated her passion of the game to the rest of the team. Another Senior S award goes to Richard Hall, who led by example on and off the court, showing a potential that can make him progress considerably in the future. We are also very glad to give the Sportsmanship Award to Catherine Foulem. Yes. A good-natured lady who took the game seriously while distributing her smiles and making the practice even more enjoyable. Valeria, Richard, and Catherine, I would like you to come up and get your word, please. The tennis shield, here it is. The tennis shield is the oldest trophy in the history of Stanstead athletics. It is awarded to the best boy and the best girl, which are determined by a round-robin tournament. This year's winners are Simonetta Gaumont and Grégory Lapointe. I invite you both to come up at the front, please. Thank you. Grégory is the first Major S recipient tonight. Despite not being at the top of his game during the ATIAC playoffs while playing with a broken racket, he managed to be under his opponent's skins and win the ultimate title. Please give a round of applause to Grégory. Finally, we would like to give a major S to a young lady who got better as the season progressed. Thanks to her perseverance, she managed to win all of her matches in the ATIAC finals and consequently the gold medal. Please welcome Simonetta Gaumont.
Speaking for senior girls rugby, Miss Hessian.
Yes. I can almost see it. Just kidding, I'm not gonna do that. Can't do that. I'm going to do things a little bit differently. I'm going to change the order. Wingers score tries. My entire career as a coach, it's something I've said. It was something that was said by a coach that coached me. Not until this year did I really understand it. If you're a spectator, then this is what you see. If you've played rugby, then you know that it's much, much more than that. For each and every single try scored this year, the ball passed, either figuratively or literally, through 24 sets of hands. Yours and ours. We're going to give the awards first, and while there are not 24 awards, each of the awards, it should be clear that you lifted each other up. Senior S awards, there will be 3 to players who secured the ball on offense and made dynamic go-forward plays on defense. Who secured the ball on defense and made dynamic go-forward plays on offense. and delivered the ball whenever we needed it. Those three players are Maya Goodrow, Anna Sophia De La Parra, and Chloe Van Dyke. The Sportspersonship Award this year will be shared between two players. If you've ever been on a team with either one of these two players, or if you have coached these two players, you know that you are well loved and well encouraged. And the Sportspersonship Awards go to Alexandria Gray and Begonia Perez Hernandez. There are two Major S awards. The first one goes to a player who filled a number of different roles on the field and was exceptional at her position in the centers, closing the backfield on defense and opening it wide open on offense. In addition to the restarts and conversions, she caught the eye in each and every single one of our opponents and every scout and coach that watched us play. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand and join me in honoring Mackenzie St. Pierre with a Major S. The final awards this evening, awarded to a player that I used to call the pinball because she's so quick, she bounces. But don't let that deceive you. She is the fiercest tackler on our team. This year, she was also the glue. She bound the forwards and the backs together. She was the force between the breakdown and the backfield, encouraging the forwards and moving the ball to the wide open spaces. On top of that, she is one of the most exceptional teammates I've had the opportunity to coach, and when we needed her, she delivered. She is both the recipient of a Major S and the Roger Marino Trophy for Excellence in Sportsmanship in Rugby. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand and join me in honoring Rina Takahashi. Okay, now for the speech. Dr. Standage said, "It is a good day to be alive." Congratulations to the tennis team on your awards. It's an especially good day to be alive for the 79 rugby players in the school, all of whom sit amongst you as champions. Congratulations. Yeah, that's fine. That's good. It's a good thing to be a champion. On behalf of all of our team, I want to thank everyone who cared for us along the way. Your attention to detail, enthusiasm for our success did not go unnoticed. 9 weeks ago, we sat together in a dark room in a hotel room in St. John, and I asked you a question. What do you want to build? And then I gave you a chance to build something. It's not that. I left that in New Brunswick. You made it out of blocks. These are 24 blocks. The only thing I can make from Lego is a wall. Together you did build some things. And you came up with the common idea that whatever we would build, it would have to be useful, it would have to be strong, it would have to be creative. It would have to be able to carry the light, and it would have to have wings to fly. So here I have a giant wall made from 24 blocks. Well, it's not that giant. It's made from 24 blocks. You either have to break it down or you have to climb. So that was day one. What followed from that was the soundtrack of my spring. So my speech today, I have to put it down, it's gonna fall, is entitled 24 Sound Clips from Our Spring Using Rugby as a Metaphor for Life. Some of them were said by me, some of them were sung as lyrics by you. I won't sing them, but it's going to be difficult to not be weird about it. 24. Take care of the ball. If you don't tackle, we're going to lose. I will be brave. I will be strong. I will be true, for there are those who trust me. Tackles, tackles, tackles. The chances I'm taking sometimes might knock me down. But no, I'm not breaking. Why don't you know when you make a forward pass? I got all I need when I got you. And I look and see around me and see a sweet life. Actions speak louder than words. These are the moments I'm going to remember most. No, I did not forget those last 3 Kavanaughs. Thunder, feel the thunder? Keep on moving, keep climbing, keep the faith, baby. Yes, I noticed how much longer the line to hit me was at the contact ill than to hit Miss Norris. There's always going to be another mountain. You're always going to want to make it move. Rock! Get in the rock! Move your feet! Feet, 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 move your feet! Sometimes you did. Gotta keep trying. Gotta keep my head held high. Drop ball, back through the hedges. And this one is from Geneva. I get the song. I just don't get why everybody's crying. Were you counting? That's 20. There's 4 more. But I used my blocks. With 24 blocks, what started out as a wall turned into a trophy, a championship trophy, a cup. That was part of it. There's 4 missing. They are courage, commitment, family. What is it? Champions. Champions. Just for the background story to that Champions, because it was one of the greatest coaching feats of my life, I think. On the back of a card I gave every single player before the championship game, I wrote a word. The words I wrote on all the grade 10s were courage, and all the grade 11s was commitment. And on all the grade 12s, it was family. And on the back of Anna Sophia's, who's the only grade 9, I wrote champions before the game started. Each of these 24 blocks is a part of your legacy. For those of you who are moving on, you've got to move on to be who you are. We understand. Thank you, and good luck.
The final program of the evening, speaking for senior boys rugby, Mr. Spurk.
All right. Okay, first off, excuse me, the big thank you goes to Miss Alta. I know you didn't like me at the beginning, but you love me now. Mr. Van Dyke, Mrs. Wolf, for all your organization and hard work. To our manager, Shalon, you are a stud. We will miss you. Major thank you to Coach Liam Miller. He was integral in game preparation and was the driving force behind the Hum Now movement that has taken over the rugby world. This year's group had some obvious experience, but when I looked at the potential in January, I knew there was a lot of work to do. Mother Nature was in a terrible mood in April and set us back quite a bit on our game preparation. I have to admit, I was losing hope before the season had even started. Not a good way to begin. We decided as coaches, Ms. Hessian and I, to rent the indoor facility in Sherbrooke in order to at least have some sense of gameplay before we left for Rugby Fest in New Brunswick. I have to say, it's at that moment that I realized I had a special group. For a complete hour, we tackled, we rucked, and we tackled again. Not one player complained, tried to duck out of drills, or hide. There was a focus and an intensity that I had rarely seen before coaching at this level. They loved contact. You can teach skills, you can teach strategy, but there's absolutely no way to teach courage and heart. After only 9 practices, we headed to Rugby Fest and took on Fundy Regional High School in the first game. I was sick to my stomach. I hate to lose, and I didn't feel good. Our 8 veterans took the field to lead the other 7 totally raw players into battle. It was amazing to watch the faces of the new guys as they were out of position and looking at me for help, like, what are you doing to me? It wasn't this fast in practice. Why is he hitting me when I'm on the ground? I smiled because I knew it was coming. It was an amazing learning experience for everyone. The tournament carried on and we kept winning, but what was really happening was a group of seniors had decided to take everyone under their wing and go on a mission. In the final, the boys dug deep and made countless goal line stops and pulled off an impressive victory over CPL and High to take home the Rugby Fest title. We came back to school and got to work. It was incredible to watch the seniors lead this group of young guys who had soaked up so much while in New Brunswick. The level of sports IQ in this group is so impressive. First-year guys asking university-level questions about game situations, and veteran guys already reminding their teammates about what to look forward to against their opponents and in sevens tournaments. We then had an exhibition against BCS, which set the tone for 3 epic battles we had with them over the season. Following the exhibition game, we headed to Massive Vanier for a jamboree, and then turned our focus to the GMA and Abenaki sevens tournaments. I can honestly say that as a coach, I always enter to compete and almost always think we have a chance to win. However, with a full tournament on Friday and then asking the same kids to play the next day in another full tournament, I was anything but optimistic about our chances. Experts say that playing a sevens tournament over 2 days is like getting hit by a car. After what I witnessed May 11th and May 12th, I now believe that to be true. I'll never forget how nervous I was for the boys when they entered overtime against CVR in the GMA finals. The funny thing is, they had a cool confidence about them, as if they knew what was going to happen. 2 minutes into overtime, our scrum blew out the opponent, and Trevor ran in the golden try to give us the championship. Knocking off Loyola and CVR in the same day is something I'll I'll never forget. We cheered and celebrated, however the job was only half done. In reflection on the ride home, I contemplated resting some players as they were visibly beat up. That thought lasted 20 seconds. The next morning, everyone looked half dead and could hardly walk. I wanted to give them all a hug and tell them to go back to bed. That wasn't even an option to them. Like true Spartans, they went to the field, we took 3 deep breaths like we always do, and got to work. Sangheath and Tim injected life into the group since they had the previous day off and were rested. The boys got through the 3 round-robin games, beating Richmond, BCS, and Galt, which set up a final against Seminaire de Sherbrooke. I literally can't believe what I witnessed that afternoon. Broken and hobbling, the boys made tackle after tackle and took home their second sevens tournament in 2 days. That weekend will stay with me forever. That was team-first attitude, and everyone bought in. With that major feat behind us, all that stood in the way from perfection was a win against Essex, 2 league games, and the finals. Luckily for us, Essex had an off year, so that game was not what it normally is, and we came up victorious 98-25. That brings me to the scariest day of the season, the May break meltdown. We had games against Seminaire de Sherbrooke and Alexander Galt, 2 teams we beat handily 2 weeks earlier. Now you would think after working with high school boys for 12 years, you would by now know that you never trust teenagers. Well, I was still naive to that reality. We played the 2 worst games of our season, squeaking out a win on Will Huckins' convert on the last play of the game against Seminaire, and scraped together a win with a decent second half effort against Galt. This set up the finals at Stanstead, and I am happy we had this near failure. It gave the coaches an opportunity to reset the focus in practice and prepare for the semis against Galt and the finals against BCS or Seminaire. The guys saved their best performance for last. Monday, May 28th was when it all came together. The game plan was executed to perfection, and it looked like men playing with boys. The team was crowned league and playoff champions, and they pulled off a perfect 21-0 season. The craziest thing is they outscored their opponents 664-153. I want to say a heartfelt thank you to all the players, and especially those of you graduating. Your commitment to excellence, your smiling faces, and your bravery on the field will live in my memory forever. You gave the coaches in school something to be proud of for a long time. Congrats on an amazing year and an incredible feat. Just before I give the senior S's, I want to quickly let you know that this is by far the hardest award giving I've ever had in my 12 years of coaching. I've never coached more athletes, more talented athletes, and it's very difficult for me to be up here doing what I have to do. So hopefully that sinks in. I'll start with the senior S's. We have 5 senior S awards to give this evening and 1 sportsmanship award. I'll ask you all to come up at the same time once I'm done announcing. This year, the Sportsmanship Award goes to a first-year player who always accepted whatever role he was given. He spent the winter learning the game and was a force in lineouts. We're happy to award the Sportsmanship Award to Tim Carr. My first senior S goes to a captain who was a flawless kicker, a good captain, a confident runner in the centers, who had a great career as a Stanstead Spartan rugby player, Will Huckins. My next major senior S, goes to a guy who devoted himself to rugby and became a threat on the field on offense. He carried the team at the May break meltdown and was an awesome player in the winter and in the spring, Sangheath Prakash. Third senior S goes to a kid who was given a new position this year, took it in stride, became excellent, will have a great university career. He was an excellent restart kicker, a great offensive threat, and played superbly at the number 10 position all year, Alex LG. The fourth senior S goes to the scariest person I've ever coached. I will never stand in front of him in a practice. He puts fear into the eyes of every human who stood in his way and was great in the trenches, Gilberto Segovia. Finally, a very talented forward who was an outstanding finisher around the goal line and led the team in stolen balls, Patrick Young. please come up and receive your awards. We have one final award this evening. I'm going to ask Mr. Doogie Ross to come up. This award is actually named after his father, Donald A. Ross. So, Mr. Ross, if you'll come up and help me. First, I'd just like to say a few words about this young man. This young man had an impressive career at Stanstead College. He excels at every sport he plays and does so with a quiet confidence. He's been the player day in and day out who everyone can count on to get the job done. He makes the people around him better and is one of the most humble athletes I've ever had the pleasure of coaching. Trevor has the ability to play rugby at the national level if he ever decides he wants to. If ever a player comes along who can fill his shoes at the scrum half position, we surely will have a chance to do great things. Trevor, you have impressed me in everything you've done as a Spartan, and it is an honor to be able to give you one last feather for your impressive Stanstead cap. The Majoress and MVP trophy goes to Trevor Grasby.
Thank you, Mr. Spurk. This concludes the assembly and officially marks the end of the 2017-2018 athletic season. I have one last thank you, and that's to you, the student athletes, the Spartans in the room. Every one of you has contributed to the success Stanstead College has had this year in sports. Every one of you has helped maintain and even build upon the incredible reputation we have, a reputation of competitiveness, sportsmanship, inclusiveness, and class. Every one of you makes me proud to work here. Congratulations to all award winners. Thank you to Mr. Murray for taking all the photos. A huge thank you again to all the coaches, not just for tonight, but for the entire season. A few housekeeping issues. First, Mrs. Smith needs to meet all the golfers in the back before you leave. Secondly, I need a few of the award winners to stay behind for a spectrum photo with Mr. Murray. So that's Trevor, Rena, Greg, Sita, and Margot. Please stay behind up front. Third, a reminder to faculty that it is free dress tomorrow. And fourth, unfortunately we ran a bit late, so there is no study when we get back. So please stand as your coaches leave the church. Have a great end of the year.